morning and a good week to you all. Let's say hello and good morning to our one and only Anthony Grant, who joins us daily to discuss the stories you might have missed while scanning the headlines. Tony, I got to say, love what you're wearing.
Oh, thank you very much.
I was trying to embarrass you.
What a lovely, sartorially correct way to say good morning.
There you go. On this very hectic morning,
yes.
What have we missed?
Well, I think we'll just start very briefly and quickly with Haaretz, major Israeli daily, with a front page story about the situation looming in Syria, with, of course, Syria saying they're going to let the UN inspectors do their thing, but the U.S. saying it's probably too late.
Which is, indicating, as we've been hearing from reports this morning, it seems pretty, imminent that the U.S. is going to react in a military way, one way or the other.
There is, the tension is palpable, and so the press, of course, is following every move, as we know, and we're tracking that pretty much on an hourly, consistent basis. But it's
part of the region, of living here, definitely.
And adding to the complexities of the region, back to Lebanon, Daily Star up in Beirut reports that the Maronite Christian patriarch Bishara Ray has decried the Tripoli blasts and holds politicians responsible. This is in response to the twin bombings that happened last week in Tripoli, which were quite devastating. And it's interesting to see the picture of the Maronite Christian patriarch coming out and trying to hold politicians to account for this tragedy. And people tend to forget that Lebanon, it's the Middle East, but 39% of Lebanese are Christian. And even though in those attacks, it did seem there was a targeting of mosques and apparently Sunni Muslims, but everyone's impacted, and it's a patchwork of peoples there. So that
and very courageous also of a Christian to come out against any kind of attack in the Middle East.
Absolutely, especially these days. And he also criticized. He spoke out against the destruction of Coptic Christian churches in Egypt.
We've seen for the last several weeks some horrific situation there.
Yeah. So he's taking a stand in Lebanon, and that's also something to watch.
Interesting. What else?
Al Arabiya has run a short article about Oman's Sultan Qaboos, who is in Tehran today for energy talks. Now, why is this interesting? Well, of course, I love saying Sultan Qaboos. I was about to say it
because I wanted to say that.
Qaboos.
Okay, the Qaboos, yeah.
Oman
much better name than Sisi. I never said that.
You never said that.
Okay.
But Oman is a country, of course, that's on the Arabian Peninsula, and it's the only Gulf country that has good ties with Iran. So while it's true that there's energy cooperation between the two countries and even a pipeline project in the works, in the past Oman has been a sort of a conduit of messages to Iran from people that normally won't speak to the Iranians, like the Americans and the British. So the question is there more than energy on the agenda as Sultan Qaboos meets with the Iranians?
You again said Sultan Qaboos.
I did.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, the fourth time. No. Interesting.
Interesting to see, especially as things heat up in the region.
Yeah.
So
good.
We'll be following the Qaboos' movements.
And you said that. Yeah.
Back to China. The South China Morning Post runs actually quite serious story about onions. In India, India's onion crisis may end in election tears for government as prices rocket. Gotta love that picture.
No, I know, and gotta love that headline. Somebody had fun with that. Yeah,
they did.
At the Morning Post.
Yeah,
okay.
They're having it's of course. Masala is a key ingredient in a lot of Indian cooking. It needs onions to make it, and the price is going through the roof apparently. And for the first time in 2 years, India is having to import onions, and so this becomes a political issue.
Of course, and especially in elections.
And Prime Minister Singh is up for election next year, and people are reminding in the Indian press and also as reported in the South China Morning Post that Indira Gandhi, when she came back to power for the second time, it was on onions. I mean, she made the price of onions a rallying cry, like a populist thing that it kind of catapulted her back.
I've learned something this morning. It's onion in India, it's bread in Egypt. Usually that that determines things.
So it all comes down to food.
It all comes down to food
in many cases.
Obviously. What else?
Or dope.
Or dope.
If you're Lance Armstrong.
Okay. Whoa, is that a Lance Armstrong?
Yeah, you've
headline?
got to love this headline from the Times of London,
Okay.
which basically says it all. Drug cheat, Lance Armstrong settles with the Sunday Times. It's
He's already gotten, drug cheats. Yeah, that's, okay.
It's pretty aggressive headline. I mean, 9 years ago,
Wow.
Armstrong sued the Times of London for libel because they published an article that suggested he might have used performance-enhancing substances.
Little did we
wow.
know.
Little
Yes.
did we know. They've reached a settlement, and a headline like that, drug cheat. It's pretty. It's a slap.
It's a slap saying, you know what, man, we were right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they didn't say how much money they settled for, but
Yeah, nothing good about the Lance Armstrong story.
no,
Yeah, yeah.
it's part of history, and it's still litigation continues on various fronts.
Interesting.
As it probably does in San Diego. We've talked a lot about Anthony Weiner on the morning
You bringing
show.
Weiner back? Okay.
But we haven't paid too much attention to Bob Filner in San Diego, the mayor of San Diego who resigned on Friday over allegations of sexual harassment. And 18 women.
What's wrong with these people?
I don't know. I mean, it's,
seriously, do they have to be cliches? Men in power and sex?
basically,
Okay.
unfortunately, sometimes it
Yeah,
does seem to
it
be the
works
case.
that way.
But the people in San Diego didn't put up with it. And an article in the San Diego Union Tribune
Says what?
says that the question is, who turned the screws on Filner? And basically, the answer is
The
their
stories
headline.
that keep on giving headlines, yeah.
Actually, everyone did. Apparently, a diverse group of men, women stepped forward to confront the mayor over the allegations, which he denies, of
Right,
sexual
of course,
harassment.
yeah.
There were 18 women that we know of that made formal complaints. And so basically, the tide really turned against him, even though he does deny everything, apparently.
18 women.
18, yeah.
Unbelievable.
So that's been really a saga that's been gripping Southern California and San Diego.
And he's now what? He's going to resign?
He has resigned.
Oh, sorry, he has
yeah,
resigned.
in San Diego, they're calling a special election. I think in 90 days, they've got to find an alternative mayor. So it's
And when you say everybody turn on the screws,
what they mean is like diverse. It seemed like regardless of political affiliation or age bracket, the people that were touched, well, the people that were
sorry, so not a laughing matter.
the people that were impacted by the alleged gropings, etc., and whatnot, and aggressive sexual behavior, whatever that may have constituted, were not bashful about coming forward and saying, "Hey, you got to put a leash on it, Filner." So
Now, it's amazing to me because we former New Yorkers, you and I, you would expect that New Yorkers with the Weiner story will, have the chutzpah, have the gumption to go at it and say, basically tell a person to get out or do something to that effect.
Yeah.
And there we have it, Shanti, Southern California is doing it, much better, right?
yeah, I mean, it on some level, it goes to show that everyone's, I don't know, there's similar situations unfolding different coasts. And
well, you know what, New Yorkers, take note is all I can say.
Yeah,
Anthony
and that
Grant.
race heats up too in New York. We'll be watching that.
Oh man, you're my man on that story. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Anthony Grant.